Okay, hey everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of On This from Off the Cuff. Today we'll be doing beginning a multiple part review, kind of a series of episodes just for this particular model that's caused such a ruckus on the online forums. So this is the Ginault Ocean Rover, and this particular video is going to be part one, which is going to be kind of unboxing, seeing what everything comes with, and then also initial impressions and kind of basic specs. Then we'll do a follow-up video as far as kind of comparisons go and bang per buck, and then another video kind of just on the theory and the idea of homage watches and kind of you know, my feelings on that and kind of their value and their place in the market or in your collection, and then maybe even another final video just because I have so much to say about this piece. I'm going to do my best not to get sidetracked and just really kind of try to stick to the very basics when it comes to this first video. So let's go ahead and zoom out and take a look at here the package for the Ginault Ocean Rover. So a little bit about the brand. Ginault was founded in 2012. They are a micro brand startup with their eye on higher end homage niche. And honestly, there's been plenty of brands that have kind of built themselves up on, you know, homage watches. They've definitely paid the bills with those pieces, and they're able to kind of expand and do their own thing. So I think that's really an exciting proposition for me for this brand because the quality is just fantastic. So, you know, again, without getting too sidetracked, let's go ahead and take a look at what comes in the box. As you can see here, we do have a really nice driver set. So you can, it's for adjusting the links here on the bracelet, which is very nice. And then as far as the rest here, of course, we have this nice, very plush kind of wipe there, which is great to get all the fingerprints off. And then you have really a nice touch here. You have the timing record, so adjusted in 6 different positions, and then also over 6 weeks, which is very, very nice. So it kind of gives you just a little bit more feeling of kind of personalization and a really nice feel of, you know, a luxury good. And then you have, of course, the warranty information, which is really nice. You know, I'm not worried about anybody stealing my info here. So I doubt there's going to be any knockoffs of this piece. So I'm not going to be too bashful here with the serial number, but that's the info there. I think just a nice touch to have that spelled out pretty nicely. And then of course you have complimentary 2-piece Zulu strap, which I think the color palette is really nice and plays off of that patinaed loom. But honestly, this thing is so nice on bracelet, I doubt I will be putting it on this. I have a couple other straps that are a little bit more vintage that I'll probably try this out on eventually, but for the time being, this is just going to be something that kind of sits with the package there. So let's go ahead and get this out. Unclip here. Now this piece, you know, and the brand in general, they've really caused quite a stir, and you can probably tell if you've been looking, this is one of the main things that people have been really apprehensive about: hand built in America. Now this particular example actually has a revised case back. As you can see, it does not say made in the USA. The original kind of the first couple that were assembled actually were using a case back that said hand built in the USA. This one does not. I'm sorry, made in the USA. The dial still does say hand built in America, which is a very nice touch because that is kind of one of the perks of this piece. But honestly, if this thing was made 100% in China, I would still be very impressed. But, you know, I think, of course, in this day and age, little made in America marketing never hurt anybody. So let's go ahead and take a closer look here at some of these fine details. Now, this is a dive watch, of course, so you're gonna look for those same kind of key characteristics in design language: water resistance through a screw down crown, something tough, legible. You're gonna have that dive time bezel and a diver's extension, if on bracelet, which this has, and that really nice and functional glide lock. So really cool. Now, this is the Ocean Rover. Basically, it is, an homage to the 16610 Submariner, which is a really classic shape. So those lugs aren't going to be pushed out like on the ceramic bezel case. And then, so it just has a nicer kind of vintage feel to it. And it's really not just an homage to just one particular model. It actually has key characteristics and design language from across a couple different models, and I think it's kind of a very, very nice mashup of those things. So as we go over some of the details, we'll start seeing some of those design cues, and we'll make sure to point them out. So basically, this particular piece, one of the things that makes it very controversial and also very special is that it has a lot of custom manufactured components. This isn't something where they went into a catalog, said, give me this, this, and this, and then put this movement in it. Ginault took a lot of time to spec this out very specifically for, very specific reasons. And, a lot of it, I'd say, is a little tough to read through when you're looking at their site. I feel like their site is really, the verbiage and the sales pitch is for more of the lifestyle watch buyer, not necessarily kind of the watch buyer. I think the watch fans are going to kind of, that are more into technical specs are going to be reading through that, and they're just going to feel like a lot of it is, very much a sales pitch. I think, the right buyer, though, is going to look at that and be like, wow, this thing sounds amazing. Where do I buy? So I can't fault it really, because I think it's just really targeted at somebody who's not me. But I could easily see how somebody who's not huge into watches reads through that and goes, wow, this thing's amazing. It's a great value. And I mean, honestly, when I read kind of between the lines, I still think it's a great value. But to stick to kind of the overall, let's go ahead and cover the price, which is the retail price is right around we're just under $1,300 at $12.99, and it's shipped direct, which is pretty quick, which is nice if you're in the US. Of course, there are some early bird discounts available right now, 50% off for an unboxing review, and then 60% off if you do a comparison. So it would be nice if I could compound those, because I'm probably going to do all of the above. But, to be fair, there's definitely, by feeling this watch in hand, I know there's a fair amount of work that went into getting this produced. And, I think the price was still really even more impressive, of course, at the discounted price. But we'll see, if they bring anything down, rein anything back, or what. That's kind of a discussion for another video. But as far as the specs, very standard Submariner affair here, 40 millimeter diameter, very, very classic. It has a 14.1 millimeter height, and that extra little height is mostly attributed to that beautiful boxed sapphire there. This is made out of 316L stainless steel. It's brushed and polished and very, 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 very finely finished, might I add. The crown is also well executed, great action. And one thing I will note is if you really want to take the most advantage of the action, you're going to want to push down on the bezel and turn. You don't want to just try to turn it, because I feel like this actually was designed to mimic more of the old school kind of Rolex locking bezels, where you push down to set and then you kind of pull up and lock it in place. So if you just try turn it, you know, as it lays. Sometimes because there is a little bit of play kind of in the bezel, and it doesn't feel like it's a lack of tolerance. I think it's just kind of more of a design quirk, because it's kind of paying homage to that particular era of bezels. It's just the action definitely feels better when you kind of are more particular with the way you're gonna do it, and it's prone, you know, pretty much less prone to kind of snagging in any weird angle or anything like that. And then the signed crown, very nice. Has, of course, a little flower there, not just etched in. I mean, that thing is nicely machined or molded, but it's just really, really well executed. And the teeth on here grip really, really nicely. Even with the gloves I have on right now, just really, really nicely done. You know, I'm gonna say really, really quite a few times in this video, so make sure all of the fanboys who count that are taking notes. Now, as far as the movement goes, this is powered by the automatic Ginault 7275 caliber, which is a custom ETA 2824-2 clone. Now, that is one of the biggest pieces of controversy for this watch, is what does that really mean? A custom clone, is it how much of it's Chinese, how much of it's from here, there, or, you know, how much of it is Swiss parts? And that's all pretty well spelled out. I think although, you know, some of it can be a little contradictory from the marketing side versus technical spec, I will say that, you know, from what I take from what I've read, it sounds like there are some pieces that are sourced here, there, and then mostly, though, a lot of the pieces are machined here for the movement. So I think that's a very interesting proposition, and I think, you know, if that comes out to be the case, once it's, you know, if things get confirmed, double confirmed, triple confirmed, I think that's very cool and definitely adds to the justification on the retail price tag. If it comes out to, hey, maybe they overreached a little bit and on kind of some of the wording or verbiage, honestly, I don't think it's going to hurt that much, because, you know, at the end of the day, the 2824 isn't really a luxury movement. So, you know, it's not like, to me, it's going to hold much more prestige if it's a 2824 or an SW200 or, you know, whatever, as long as it performs well. And I have to say, for timekeeping, this definitely performs well. I'm not going to be too worried about it. So with that said, we'll save the rest of that conversation for the you know, another video. But basically, this thing has been adjusted to run within COC chronometer specs, which is really a nice touch. The case back is solid and etched, as you can see there. The original case backs that came on these actually were engraved and just had a little, you know, some verbiage there. I think it said like made in the USA, which, you know, is a little of a hard sell when it comes to FTC compliance. So they did update the case backs on here. Now, as far as the dial goes, this is a really beautifully done black enamel dial. Very nice gloss sheen to it. It has those maxi style indices. So it's, you know, going to have the larger surfaces for lume, but at the same time, you know, you're getting it in a more svelte frame here, because this doesn't have the really big wide shoulders that you'll see on the modern Submariner. So really nice touch there, nice little mix up. And as you can see, another mixed design element are the sword hands for the hour and minute. So very reminiscent to, of course, the famed mill sub from Rolex, which, I mean, those are six-figure collectible watches now. So definitely nice to have another option. And then, of course, they mixed it up a bit more and added kind of a Yacht Master like red seconds hand there for a nice pop of color. So this is, you know, it's not really referencing any one particular model. It's referencing, you know, a few different, you know, kind of design aspects, which is, I think, a nice touch. You know, even some, not just from Rolex, but even from Tudor, as far as, you know, the little flower logo there. So that's also very, very nice. And, you know, even the way the bezel teeth are and some of the proportions as far as the dial and bezel insert. So, you know, really nice. And let's go ahead and charge this guy up and get a little lume shot while we're here. As you can see, the lume is quite powerful. It's actually a proprietary lume compound from Ginault. They've dubbed it their golden sand, which it's basically a C3 equivalent. That's going to be kind of the theme here for this watch. There's a, you know, it's a 28-24 equivalent, C3 equivalent. It's kind of just a customized, you know, proprietary version of things and you know, in the industry that are very good, and they've kind of put their own spin on it. And I'd say, you know, for the movement, their spin is that it's going to be more accurate than your average 28-24 clone. You know, a lot more consistent. And then as far as the actual, you know, the quality and everything, it's going to be much closer to an actual 28-24, but of course a higher finish and spec. But one of the nice things is that you're not going to be necessarily tied to ETA and worrying if they're going to produce or provide more or less, because you know, a lot of these parts are manufactured here in the States, quote unquote. So I think that's a nice touch. And then here for the lume, it has a nice patinaed, ooh, didn't get that back on center there. It has a nice kind of patina tint to it, but it's not too yellow, you know, not too orangey. I think it's just a nice kind of pale ivory, really a natural patina tint to it, which is really, really nice. I think sometimes in pictures the color can adjust a little bit much and make it seem more yellow than it is, but as you can see here on camera, it's just a really, I think it's a really great tone. I think it, you know, at first glance, it definitely has a vintage appeal to it. So I think it's really finely executed. So again, C3 equivalent, but guess what? I think the tone, when it's not loomed up, is a lot of a nicer tone. It's not going to be, it's not greenish looking like C3 can look oftentimes. Normally that's why C1's used a lot, or BGW9, just because in the daylight it's going to look much more white. And I think in this case it looks really great. And I've seen some that were just really overly yellow and orangey that didn't look natural. I think this is a happy medium. So I got to say, Ginault Gold Sand, stamp of approval as far as I'm concerned. Now, water resistance, of course, 300 meters, standard Submariner spec there, or 1,000 feet, really nice. And I have no, you know, by the build quality on here, I have no doubts as far as pressure testing that this thing is going to hold up. Now, the Bracelet and Links is where it gets a little bit more modern, because now you're getting solid end links, solid links, and a glide lock based clasp, which is really nice. And you can see here the finishing is really nice. They didn't have to add that, you know, little extra step of finishing there. I mean, the polished parts are very polished nicely, and then the brushed is also fantastic, and the glide lock is actually very functional. And not only functional, it's well executed. This thing actually works really well. You know, I've definitely had some, you know, homage watches where the glide lock was just more for looks than actual function. This one, I mean, yeah, my gloves are getting in the way a bit there, but this actually works extremely well. So I gotta say, very impressed from that standpoint. And then the finishing on these links here are, you know, they're not sharp, they're rounded off, but not rounded off through lack of kind of precision. They're actually so precise that they've just, I feel like they've gone the extra mile just to ensure that this just feels fantastic on the skin, and isn't going to be something that is going to grab at you at all. So really, really nicely done from that aspect. And 20 millimeter lugs, of course, tapering down to an 18 millimeter clasp. We'll go ahead and get this on wrist. very quickly here. I know this one's running long for a part 1, but let's just get all the basics knocked out while we're here. So as you can see, very classic proportions there on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. So, you know, further out, I think it definitely, you can see kind of how it actually wears versus when it's very, you know, up close. The wristies, things always look bigger. I think it wears fantastic. You know, catches angles really, really nice. I mean, that sapphire, this finishing, the polish is just fantastic. The brushing, I mean, this thing just screams quality. I'm just extremely pleased with the fit and finish on here, and I think you'll find all the other reviews you're gonna find for this are all very similar as far as fit and finish goes. I think where people are going to differ is kind of more in the use case philosophy and kind of bang per buck and value. So kind of my closing thoughts: very classic proportions, you know, very comfortable and balanced, you know, as far as wear goes. There aren't really any model variants out right now, but you know, this is kind of their one model, but we'll see how they expand. I'm really excited at the idea of, you know, there being a company out there that can execute something like this that will have a little bit more room to breathe as far as, you know, updates in design. So that's really an exciting thought. And then, you know, some of the comparable models I'd say I would think of instantly would probably be like Mark II. And some of their big crown sub homages. Those are really kind of the universally accepted quality high-end sub homages that are out there. And I think, you know, this particular model, you know, they've kind of gotten a little bit out ahead of trend to actually make a homage to this model, because I think this is probably the next in line. There are still a lot of people actually that prefer the aluminum insert versus the ceramic, just because of the case shape and kind of that more classic look. So I think they really hit the right chords here from this case. Really, you know, the bottom line is it's an eclectic blend of classic Rolex styling cues, you know, executed to a level really above your average mid-tier brand. I mean, and that's from Swiss to micro brands. You know, really the level of execution here is just another level above that, you know. And at the end of the day, many brands have kind of built you know, their reputation off the backs of you know, homage watches. You can see a lot of very mainstream brands today. You know, you look back in their catalog, you know, just a couple years ago, and they had, you know, Rolex Submariner homages. And there's still a lot of younger micro brands today that are putting out homages, not just to the Submariner, but I mean to other classic sports watches of the past that kind of build their reputation there, and then kind of work their way up and then start doing some more original designs and just, you know, kind of coming into their own. And I'd say a really great example of that is a brand like Christopher Ward, you know, or Helson. So there's just a couple of brands out there that really, they made their bread and butter, you know, kind of selling the Camry, right? But then they still build, you know, a high-end Lexus at the end of the day, right? Or you sell, the Nissan sells all these Altimas to be able to fund putting out a GTR. And I feel like, you know, hey, maybe they'll sell a bunch of, you know, homages in the beginning. And that's hopefully the success will be put towards putting out something, you know, down the line that's going to be just the next level, right? So I gotta say, I'm hoping for the success of this brand, because I'm just really excited at the prospect. And I think probably for me, the biggest, you know, I guess light at the end of the tunnel for me is I'm into watch mods, right? I really enjoy, you know, modded Seikos and Orients, and, you know, even Invicta 8926s, right? Which is the sub homage. So I really enjoy those mods, and I think they're really cool, and it's a fun way to kind of explore with your own design and personalizing things. And, you know, they're very high end, modifications that are out there from design houses that will, you know, take a $7,000-8,000 modern Submariner and turn it into a $25,000, you know, mod, right? So there's a market that's there now, I think, which would be kind of cool for Ginault, is now they have something, a very high quality case, and they have very high specs where they could do mods on something, let's say as a base watch like this, and just do crazy stuff to it, right? And now instead of turning an $8,000 watch into a $25,000 watch, you know, maybe you could take a, you know, $1,200 watch and mod it, and it's only going to be $2,000-3,000, right? So I just think that idea of, you know, you could really personalize and do some really crazy, very special things to a very high standard. For me, that's really exciting, and I think that's one of the things that really, you know, as far as the unknowns of Ginault that are out there that kind of are people are having a lot of reservations about. To me, that's one of the unknowns that excite me. So let's go ahead and close it on a little close-up wristy there, as you can see. And I look forward to telling you guys more in the next video. Expect to see part 2, you know, and part 3, and maybe even a part 4 eventually roll out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, make sure to hit like, and if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.